Okay, my name is Marcus. I'm 32, and up until recently I was basically the family's ATM. You know, the dude everyone conveniently forgot about until they needed something. I'm pretty quiet, single, and always there when you need me. I work a decent tech job, got no kids, and no major bills. That's what they figured, at least. My family always called me the responsible one, which I'm pretty sure was code for the one we can milk without any trouble. And for the most part, they were right. I never really complained. Not when my sister, Julia, conveniently forgot about the money I lent her for her apartment. Not when my cousin Tyler crashed on my couch for 3 months, then disappeared without a peep or any rent. Not even when my parents wanted me to co-sign their second mortgage when my dad's business went bust. I'd just smile, nod, and do it. That was my thing, I guess. The silent type holding everything together while the others were busy living their lives. But this time was different. It all started with the family reunion. We have one every summer, usually at whoever's place is big enough. But since I bought a pretty nice house a couple years back, with a pool and a big yard, everyone voted to have it at my place. The first year I went all out. I had the whole shebang, catered barbecue, games for the kids, even a bounce house. Not a single person offered to chip in, but I let it slide. Yeah, that's what family's supposed to be about, right? Last year I did the whole Christmas thing again. Got even fewer thank yous that time around. And more griping this year's drinks weren't fancy enough, no vegan options, the usual complaints, but I kept my mouth shut. This year, though, I figured I'd try something totally different. We'd rent a mountain cabin for a weekend. A little family escape, my treat. Everyone was thrilled. Mom even called to say how proud she was that I was finally stepping up. That really got to me. Like 2 years of hosting and paying for Christmas dinner didn't count as stepping up already. But whatever, I let it go. I found this awesome place through a friend, a killer lake cabin, 6 bedrooms, a game room, kayaks, a fire pit, the works. It cost a fortune, but hey, that's me, the responsible one, always paying for things. I booked it, sent out invites, even made a shared Google Doc with directions, who's sleeping where, what everyone could and couldn't eat, the whole shebang. I was actually looking forward to it. I really thought maybe this year would be different. It wasn't. The big family get-together was the second weekend in June. I bolted from work early that Friday, grabbed tons of groceries and snacks, and drove 3 hours out there. I even stopped and got Mom her special decaf tea she'd complained last year about the store brand giving her headaches. I remember pulling up to the cabin, the sun dappling through the trees, my car packed to the gills, and my phone dead silent. That whole thing should have tipped me off right away. I hauled stuff out of the car, waited a bit, then sent a text to the group. Hey, just got here. The place is awesome. Can't wait for you guys. Nothing, an hour ticked by, then another. I figured they were just running late, they're always late. So I fired up the grill, grabbed a beer, put on some tunes, trying to keep things chill, but something was off. Finally, I called my mom. She answered after a few rings, and she sounded so happy. "Oh, honey," she said, laughing like I'd just told a joke. "You actually went." I was like, "What do you mean?" I'd been there for 2 hours. "Where is everyone?" She was still laughing and said they did it yesterday. "Everyone thought it would be better that way. You know how you can get, a little rigid. It makes people uncomfortable." I just stood there, the phone glued to my ear, the wind blowing through the trees, smoke curling up from the empty grill. They'd changed the date and didn't bother to tell me. "We thought it was easier," she said. "Less awkward." No hard feelings, right? You always say you like peace and quiet. I have no clue what I said after that. I think I just hung up. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I just stood there, staring out at the lake, feeling like the biggest idiot ever. Then I turned off the grill, loaded the car back up, and drove home in silence. I didn't even bother taking the groceries out. I just tossed them in the fridge and went to bed. The next morning, I woke up to 67 missed calls. My phone was vibrating so hard it practically launched itself off the nightstand. Texts were blowing up from everyone: Dad, Julia, Tyler, even people I hadn't talked to in ages. Turns out, when I stormed out of the reunion and didn't say a word, I also accidentally stopped paying their mortgage. You see, I'd co-signed on a second mortgage for them, and I'd been the one secretly making the payments for almost 2 years. Mom and Dad were supposed to take over after 6 months, but things got tough for them, and they just never did. I couldn't let them lose their house, so I just kept paying. Until now. The thing is, the payment was due that very weekend. I always paid it manually, but that month I didn't. I didn't even call the bank. I just nothing, and now everyone was freaking out, calling me like the world was ending. I just sat there in bed, staring at my phone, watching the messages pile up. "Marcus, please call us. This isn't funny. We didn't mean to upset you. Can we just talk?" My personal favorite was from Julia. "You're being really immature right now. Grow up." I finally put the phone down, got out of bed, made some coffee, and went out to the patio to listen to the birds. It was the most peaceful morning I'd had in forever. As the wind chimes tinkled in the breeze, it hit me. Maybe being the responsible one wasn't such a great thing after all. Maybe it was just a nice way of saying I was the family doormat. And for the first time, I wasn't willing to lie down and let everyone walk all over me. But that wasn't the end of it, not even close. They had no clue, not a single one of them, that I wasn't just covering the mortgage. I'd also been shouldering the home insurance, the property taxes, the whole shebang. And get this, I was even the one who'd secretly dealt with those HOA headaches. You see, after Dad's construction business went belly up, he kinda lost it with the mailbox. He didn't like the rules, you know. So he built this crazy custom iron mailbox. It had flames on it. Actual flames, can you believe it? The HOA went ballistic. They hit him with 2 fines, then threatened to sue. Guess who swooped in with a lawyer buddy and made it all disappear? They never knew, 'cause I never breathed a word. I just kept taking care of their mess until I couldn't anymore. So when I didn't pay the mortgage that month, it wasn't just a little oops. It was a total meltdown. I got a call from the bank that Monday. This guy, Mr. Thorne, all polite and professional. He just wanted to know if the payment was coming. I held the phone, stared at it for a second. "Nope," I said. "Not this time." There was this awkward silence, but the guy didn't argue. He just said, "Okay, just so you know, if we don't get it by the 15th, your account could go into default." I thanked him, hung up, and turned my phone off for the rest of the day. Meanwhile, back in our family group chat, which I hadn't even looked at since that last family get-together, things were apparently blowing up. My friend, who was still in the group chat because she helped with the Christmas gifts for all the kids and just never got kicked out, started sending me these screenshots. "He's literally letting Mom and Dad lose their house," Julia texted. Tyler chimed in, "Why would he do that?" Like just because we changed the reunion date. Then Uncle Darren texted, "I told y'all he was always a bit off." Finally, Mom texted, and I'll never forget it. She said, "I didn't raise Marcus to be spiteful. He's always been sensitive. This is just him throwing a tantrum. He'll come around." A tantrum, seriously. That's what they were calling it. After everything I'd done, you know, paying their bills, fixing their messes, quietly handling their responsibilities for ages, I just stopped. And now I was the one having a meltdown. I didn't say anything back. I just sat there, letting it sink in. I thought about how easy it had been for them to paint the picture all this time. The quiet kid, the sensitive one, the good son. It's funny how those labels only stick when you keep your mouth shut. But I was done being quiet. The next day, I had a meeting with my financial advisor. Nothing big, just a regular check-in. I'd been saving up for a second place, something small in the city, maybe a rental. But when she asked if I still wanted to go ahead with that plan, I paused. And then I said, "Actually, I think I want to close the joint account." She looked up from her notes. "The one you're using for the Thorne property?" "Yeah, that one." We opened that joint account when I signed for their mortgage. It was supposed to make things simpler for me, you know, to pay their bills. I never actually gave them the password or anything. But I was so over being their bank, so I took out what was left. It wasn't spite, it was about me, finally. I just wanted to make a decision that actually helped me for once. It didn't take long for the emails to start flooding in. My dad sent a long one, the first one he'd ever sent me that wasn't some stupid chain letter about bad luck. It was full of that guilt trip stuff, like, "We never meant to push you away, and you know how your mother is, and family doesn't keep score." That last one really got to me because, honestly, I never kept score. Not when Julia needed money for college and called me crying at 2 a.m. Not when Tyler got busted for parking tickets and needed a couple $100 to stay out of jail. Not when Mom was crying about the leaky roof and Dad was pretending it wasn't a problem. I just kept giving and giving. But the second I stopped, suddenly everyone had this whole list of what they thought I owed them. A whole week went by, then another. The bank started foreclosure. Julia called, I didn't pick up. Tyler emailed, I ignored it. Dad sent a letter, regular mail, I didn't even open it. And then the real gut punch came. I was chilling at a coffee shop one morning, munching on a cinnamon scone, headphones on, totally pretending I wasn't people watching when my Aunt Carol texted. She's usually so together, you know. One of the good ones in my family. She always snuck me ginger cookies at Christmas. Mom was a real stickler about sugar. Carol's text was short and sweet. You might want to check Facebook." So I did. My mom had posted something public. It was this whole thing about raising a kid, loving him, supporting him, only to have him turn his back when she needed him most. Blah, 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 only caring about praise. She basically threw me under the bus. Thousands of likes, tons of comments. Neighbors, church people, friends, even her old college buddy were weighing in. I just sat there scrolling through all the sympathy for the woman who laughed at me on the phone while I was all alone at that family reunion I'd paid for. And that's when everything clicked. It wasn't anger, it wasn't sadness. I was just done. Finished. This was it, a permanent shift. They thought losing the house was a big deal. They had no clue what was coming next. I didn't respond to her post. No comment, no like, no message. No explanation to her or to all those strangers suddenly judging me as the bad guy. Nope. I just took a screenshot, saved it in a folder on my computer labeled closure, and went about my day. Deep down, though, I was already cooking up something. See, there was this thing they'd all overlooked, or maybe never even knew in the first place. When I co-signed that mortgage, I became part owner of the house. It wasn't just some meaningless signature. I was invested. My name was right there on the deed. Legally, that house was as much mine as it was theirs. I'd let them live there, paid their bills, even footed the bill for that kitchen remodel they wanted so they could sell it for more someday. But they never saw it like that. To them, I was just the fallback, the emergency fund, the invisible support holding up their whole shaky world. And now that I wasn't there anymore, they were starting to see just how much they'd relied on me. Foreclosure isn't instant. There are warnings, extra time, chances to work things out. But I didn't want to drag things out. I wasn't trying to ruin their lives, just get what was rightfully mine. So I called a lawyer, explained everything, and asked what I could do to get my share back. She listened to the whole story, then sat back and said something I'll never forget. "Well," she said, "you've already done more than most people would. But if you really want to make a point, you could file for partition." I looked at her, confused. "Partition?" She explained it was a legal thing that forces the sale of a property owned by multiple people. Okay, so since my name was on the house too and they couldn't afford to buy me out, I could ask the court to make them sell. I'd get my cut. They'd have to go. It was a heartless, cold, kinda awful thing to do. But honestly, it was exactly what I needed. It wasn't about revenge. I was just trying to get something back that I didn't even realize I'd lost, control, so I did it. 3 days later, after the papers were officially in, I finally opened the family group chat. I hadn't even glanced at it in weeks. The last message before mine was from Julia. "Can someone please get Marcus to grow up already?" I didn't answer her. Instead, I typed one thing. "The mortgage isn't your biggest problem. Check your mail." That's all. No name, no explanation, just a heads up. The fallout came fast. My phone blew up. Like it was like the day after the family reunion all over again. Missed calls, voicemails. Even my dad, who hadn't talked to me directly in over a year, left a message. "Marcus, please, this is going too far. There has to be another way." Julia sent a huge email calling me a family destroyer. Tyler called me 7 times in a row, then texted, "I'll pay you back what I owe. Just don't do this to Mom and Dad." And then Mom. She put something up on Facebook, not as vague as usual. "Some people hide behind lawyers and paperwork when they don't have the guts to face their own family. But all the legal stuff in the world won't fix the mess you've made, Marcus. Hope you get a good night's sleep in your big, empty house." I took a screenshot and tucked it away, you know. Then the day in court finally arrived. They were there looking completely wiped out, pissed off, and honestly a bit lost. My lawyer, though, totally unflappable. The judge listened, looked over everything, and sided with me. The house would be sold, and I'd get my cut. They had 3 months to get out. And that's when things got really quiet. It wasn't like those times before, the usual silent treatment. Not the icy shoulder stuff I was used to, the kind I got for not laughing at Dad's jokes or forgetting the damn deviled eggs at Thanksgiving. This was different, deeper, more hollow. For the first time ever, they just had nothing to say to me. I didn't throw a party or gloat. I didn't even celebrate. I just breathed. It's weird realizing the people who brought you up only cared when you were helpful. It shakes you to your core, makes you question everything. All the memories, the choices you've made, even your self-worth. But it also pushes you to look inside yourself, to build something new, and decide who you are without having to do what you were told. After that, I started saying no. No more being the emergency contact for people who only called when they wanted something. No more paying for holidays where I was treated like the awkward person who was just paying the bills. No to the guilt-tripping birthday parties, passive-aggressive family dinners, and whispered gossip about how I'd changed. Maybe I just stopped pretending. Just when I'd started getting my life together, you know, when I was figuring out how to be me, not some people pleaser, someone knocked. It was late afternoon, the sun sinking behind the trees. I opened the door and there was my mom, looking worn out, wearing one of those old cardigans of hers, holding a manila envelope. She stared at me like she didn't even know who I was. "Can we talk?" she asked, quiet as a mouse. I stood there for a long time, my hand still on the door, just feeling the history between us. All those years of being the good kid, the easygoing one, the one they could always count on. The birthdays I barely participated in, Holidays I paid for that were just shrugged off, family gatherings that felt like chores. It all hung heavy in the air between us in those few seconds of silence. Finally, I stepped aside and opened the door wider, not because I wanted her to come in, but because I wanted to hear what she had to say. The reason, the apology, whatever slice of the truth she was bringing. She moved slowly, like she wasn't sure she was invited. She set the envelope on the entry table like it was radioactive. I didn't offer her any coffee. I didn't ask her to sit. I just leaned against the wall, arms folded, and waited. My mom was twisting her hands, a habit I knew well from childhood. It's what she did right before she'd get after me for something stupid, forgetting my sandwich, dirtying the floor, not grinning enough in photos. "I didn't come here to argue," she eventually said. "I just stayed quiet. She trailed off, struggling to find the right thing to say. "We didn't understand how much we depended on you." I raised an eyebrow but kept my mouth shut. "We figured you didn't mind," she added quickly, like getting the words out fast would somehow make them less harsh. "You never said anything. You always helped. We figured you enjoyed being needed." I nearly laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so completely off the mark. I liked being part of the family. I liked feeling appreciated, but being needed, being used. That wasn't love, that was just trying to survive. "You didn't just lean on me," I said quietly. "You stood on me, and when I couldn't handle it anymore, you acted like it was my fault." Her face fell a little. She looked smaller than I recalled. "We were wrong," she whispered. "I was wrong." For a moment, just a flash, I almost let that get to me. I almost forgot all the years of being treated like a walking bank, the wedding presents they never acknowledged, the graduation parties I never got invited to, the vacations they bragged about in front of me while I was still expected to chip in. Almost. "What's in the envelope?" I asked instead. Mom took a breath. "The house sold." She pushed it toward me. Inside the envelope was a check my cut from the sale after all the deductions. It was a hefty amount, enough to put a down payment on another place, or maybe travel for a whole year, or to invest and watch it potentially double if I played it right. I held it, feeling the weight of it. It wasn't an "I'm sorry." It wasn't a way to finally move on. It was just money. "Thanks," I said, keeping it simple, and tucked the envelope away in a drawer. She was waiting, probably hoping that would be the peace offering, that we could just act like everything was okay, that all the years of being ignored and used could be magically erased with a few sad looks and a check. But I wasn't going to play along. "Mom," I said softly, "you're not a bad person, I know that. You aren't some evil person. You didn't wake up thinking, how can I screw over Marcus today?" She blinked, surprised, maybe even grateful, but good people still mess up. When they don't think, when they only care about themselves, when they assume someone will always fix the problem. Her mouth moved, but no words came out. "And you can say you're sorry," I went on. "And I can forgive you, I do, I believe you're sorry." A tear rolled down her face. I didn't jump to wipe it away. "But that doesn't mean things are going back to the way they were." She reacted like I'd actually hit her, and in a way, maybe I had. Because for my mom and others like her, the real nightmare wasn't yelling or pushing them away or airing their dirty laundry. The truly awful thing was taking away the access, removing the certainty that you'd always be there, no matter how awful they were to you. "I love you," I told her, and I truly meant it. But I wasn't going back to the old routine. I wasn't the family cash machine anymore. I wasn't the pushover. I was just me, and she'd have to decide if that was good enough. She nodded, slow and pained, like it hurt her to move. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay." We stood there for a few more minutes, uncomfortable and shattered, but finally being real with each other, something we'd never done before. Then she turned and walked out, no further words. When the door clicked closed behind her, I didn't burst into tears. I didn't second-guess myself. I didn't even feel empty. I just felt free. The months after that were calmer than I ever remembered. No frantic holiday calls begging me to pay for catering, no late-night panics about bad checks, no guilt-tripping birthday invites with a Venmo request attached. I got a new place. Smaller, more practical. A little townhouse closer to town with a nice balcony and a coffee shop around the corner where the barista knew my order by the third visit. I started traveling some. Nothing fancy. Weekend getaways exploring nearby cities, hiking trails I'd been putting off for ages. I learned how to just be with myself without feeling like I had to achieve something or constantly prove my worth. Then a weird thing started to happen. The friends I'd lost touch with while dealing with all the family drama actually got back in touch. We went out, had some laughs. Some even said they were sorry for drifting off. They hadn't realized just how much crazy stuff I was dealing with. My family and I, we didn't exactly patch things up, but I didn't shut them out completely either. Every now and then I'd get a text from Julia, a picture of her kids, a quick "hope you're okay." Tyler sent me a Christmas card, just my name, no pressure, no hidden message. Even mom would sometimes send a little thinking of you text, and honestly, sometimes that was all I needed, because I figured something out through all this mess. Family isn't about being forced to do something. It's not about blood or owing someone or keeping your mouth shut to avoid a fight. Real family, the kind that matters, is about respect. It's about showing up because you actually want to, not because you feel guilty or like you have to. It took losing everything I thought I had to finally understand that. And by losing them, or at least the idea I had of them, I found something even more important. I found myself. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was where I belonged.